what advice would you give them
Mm,
based on your experience?
yeah.
Somebody's got big dreams and they're feeling lit up by listening to this conversation.
Yes. I would say trust it, trust it, trust it. Be present with it, stay present with it. Stay present in your life, don't jump to the next life. Be present in the life that you are in as you continue to trust what is guiding you. Because what is lighting you up they are breadcrumbs toward your purpose.
If you are looking to move forward in your life towards your authentic dreams without sacrificing your emotional health, your nervous system, your relationships, or your spiritual health, well, you are in good company. I'm so glad you're here. I'm Courtney Lancaster, and this is a safe space for creatives. This is the Heal Create podcast. Welcome to another episode of the Heal Create podcast. I am so excited for today to have somebody that I absolutely love on and for you guys to hear her story. And I just want to preface by saying this whole podcast, everything that I am about is emotionally, sustainably moving towards your dreams, which I think is way over romanticized. I think there's absolutely a path forward. And if you feel a calling to move towards whatever it is, it's there for a reason and it's not going to let you go. And our guest today is an amazing example of following your dreams and moving through all of the pain and the beauty of doing that. So I'd love to introduce you guys to my friend, Kirsten Kelly. Hello.
Hi.
So
I
glad you're
love
here.
that you put emotionally sustainable before
Yeah.
the pursuit of your dreams. That is
Yes.
so good.
Yeah.
That is
Yeah.
so good and needed.
Yeah.
And it changes it, doesn't it? From like, go for your
I,
dreams. It turns it from like hustle and depletion and, whatever it takes to like a whole pursuit.
endurance.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, absolutely. Well, and I'll just say like meeting you, it's funny because I met you online through like some other person that was doing a group through Morgan. And I remember that you spoke in that, it was like a workshop or something. I remember that you spoke in that workshop and immediately I was like, I have to know her. I have to know who that person is. I need whatever this is. I need to just know who she is. And there's like this funny meme that says internet friends are weird because like you know all each other's secrets, but you've never seen each other's legs. And that's how I feel. And that's totally how I feel. So it was 2020 and you were a like embodiment coach for me at the time when I was really moving through some really heavy stuff and it was amazing and I got to know you and just sacred time in my life. And then also I've been following you now and we're just like tracking with each other, but I've been following you for a few years. And I got to watch the unfolding along with other people of you feeling this desire to move to Costa Rica, and then some I don't know what you would call them. What's the word that I'm looking for? Yeah, hurdles, even getting there, and then like the big expansion and contraction of like actually moving towards that. And the reason why I've known for a long time that I wanted to interview you was because if I had a nickel for every time one of my dear sweet 20-something clients was like, maybe I'll just move to Costa Rica. Or even my mom friends are like, I'm just going to raise some jungle kids. This country, I can't. Or whatever, this culture, this Western world. And so you are actually somebody who has done that. And I think that you would say, and I want to have questions for you, but that it is, you have to really know that you're really called to something like that. And it's not the romantic dream. So I'm wondering if you can tell me a little bit about your background and then just kind of leading up to the moment when I don't even think I know this story, but I would love to hear like the moment when this downloaded and you felt that like, this is what we need to do.
Yeah. Well, So Costa Rica has always kind of been on our radar. We honeymooned here in 2011. So it's been in our realm, and my husband actually came and like did surf trips and college trips, and he had been here several times before too, and that's how we wound up honeymooning here. And I mean, I can share the honeymoon story if that's of interest, but it basically was our initiation into marriage, and it was really hard
Mm.
and really challenging. And it's like the jungle just brought out anything that wasn't clean. It like brought it out, and we had to face it. And this was on our honeymoon. This is when we're supposed to
Oh
be like, oh my
no.
God, let's like, just sleep in and have sex and, like
Yeah.
go
Be
on.
sexy adults.
Yes, this is so good. Like the dream. No, it
Yeah.
was not that kind of trip. But we left and we looked back and we were like, whoa, that was profound. That place was
Mm.
magical. And somehow we just had this remembrance of this magical experience, even though it was really, really hard. And
Mm-hmm.
so, that's 2011. And we wound up, we have kids and we're on our marriage journey and, grow through a lot of things. And then flash forward to 2020, when COVID hit, we were one of those people that was like, we're going to get out of here. Like, we're going to go, let's go
We're not
escape.
staying for this.
Let's go where it can feel a little more normal. And so we booked a trip in like spring of 2020, and it was for December of 2020. So we had like a while, and in that time the borders closed. Like our trip was basically canceled. So
Mm-hmm.
we hung on to our flights, we hung on to everything, and we just trusted, and then it worked out. The borders reopened, and it was like they reopened the week of our trip.
Yeah.
So miraculously we make it. And it was still pretty quiet at that time there, and or here I should say. We're in Costa Rica now. And
Yeah.
it was similar. It was similar to our honeymoon, but we had 2 kids at the time too. So there were 4 of us kind of all going through these like, what is happening? What is coming up in us? What is this place doing to us? And we would like have these like
Mm.
waves of like really, really like hard peaks of frustration or like irritability, or like what stuff was just coming up and coming out. But then we would also have these really high peaks of like bliss of like, what?
Yeah.
It doesn't get any better than this. Like, look at where we are right now. There's jungle and monkeys and ocean and just the energy of life here. You're surrounded by living things all the time, like
Right.
trees, plants, flowers, animals. The biodiversity here is wild, and so you just feel that. And we left that trip saying, like, I remember like a moment being out on our balcony in the pool, and I'm like, we need to live here. Like, we need to live here.
Mm.
This is it for us.
Yeah.
And my husband Sean, he was not totally on board because he had a company that was like very local to Nashville. That's where we're from. And
Right.
he didn't know how he could just leave. He was an entrepreneur. He built the business from the ground up. His business partner was there. It was a construction company. So he was like, I'm not set up to do this.
Right. Right.
And so now we're in this position of like, there's a dream and there is no practical way of leaving what we have already built. Right?
Right.
Like, we've
Right.
built this thing here, and how do we get all the way over here in this situation? So, but
Mm-hmm.
I still I held on to the dream, and we made several trips back to Costa Rica and tried different areas and went with friends, and in 2021 I found myself surprise pregnant. And so that just
Yes.
added another layer of, okay, well, now we have this business that we don't know what to do with, and now we have a baby, and I'm not going to go I do like home births, and
Yeah.
did not feel comfortable being in a hospital or in a home, or like, home birthing in a foreign country. I didn't know what
Sure.
access would be like. So now we have 2 really big roadblocks as we are in the middle of dreaming. How do we get here? How do we get there? How do we do it?
So, okay, let's pause there, because this is something that I feel like is such a under talked about part of the journey. And I would say, well, when you feel really called to do something, and I have experienced this myself majorly, and the people that I support as well, and friends, that like most of us have a dream that feels big in comparison to what we're doing now,
Mm-hmm.
because it's usually so different, because most of us are on the track that we were put on as kids, and we're modeling what our parents did, and we're going with the flow. And
Yeah.
so a lot of us, we weren't meant to go with the flow. We were meant to do what we're called to do. So most of us feel that like, calling and that connection. And then we'll like start to move towards it and entertain it and look into it. And seemingly huge things will come up to block it. So for you, did it feel like maybe I was wrong, maybe I heard wrong, maybe this isn't for us, or maybe I was right, but it actually just can't work out? Like, can you tell me about those moments of like, I don't know, you'd call them self-doubt, or like, did you feel like you gave up the dream? How often did you surrender the dream? Like, what was that like?
Yeah. Yeah. This is so good. So the call felt so deep and so inexplicable. This wasn't just like, oh, I want to go live in the
Like,
tropics.
oh, fun.
And
Yeah.
oh, yeah. No, this was like deep, deep, deep knowing
Yeah.
and like and there really are, finding the words is very difficult to describe it, but I know that people with this feeling inside of them will know what I'm talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It is a call and a pull. It is like a gravitational pull to something that you can't explain and you can't stop.
Right.
And, we had moving to a foreign country as an expat, as an American, we faced criticism of, colonialism and,
Mm-hmm.
appropriation, and you're just going to
Mm-hmm.
gentrify, you know, an indigenous land. And so I really wrestled with that. I wrestled.
Sure.
I did not want to be that. I don't want to be that. And I also could not just
Shake it.
yeah, like I also
Yeah.
couldn't justify not wanting to be that with this gravitational pull pulling me in. Like when you're spiritually
Yeah.
connected and being called to something, it doesn't make sense. It might look wrong to other people, you know?
Yep. So you talked about this when we were talking on the phone last week, and I was like, inexplicably, I still will probably need to journal why this is, but I'm just like overwhelmed with emotion. Like,
Mm.
yes, I resonate. I'm grateful that you're telling your story. I feel like, yes, I'm tracking.
And yeah, like this story, it has unique pieces, but it's also all of our story.
Universal. Yes,
Yes.
totally. Yeah.
Um, and so, yeah, you have to wrestle with the things that are going to be criticized and going to be misunderstood.
Right.
And, but being so clear and like really trusting, it comes back to self-trust of like trusting that knowing, trusting that like, whether you want to call it hearing from God or trusting your intuition or like the Holy Spirit calling you to something,
Yeah.
it comes back to trusting it and just taking
Yeah.
like even the smallest step forward. If you just keep taking small steps forward toward it, the trust will be stronger, the voice will be louder, it starts to amplify and you start to build momentum. And so hanging on to that is really what kept us moving forward. But Courtney, yes, there were times where I was, we were in this like tiny shoebox city house in Nashville with no yard and no animal, no nature, nothing like, and that was all I was craving was like nature and life and abundance and fruit trees and and I have this
Yeah.
like,
Right.
new baby who I'm obsessed with, but I have 3 kids now, going from 2 to 3 kids in this tiny house and going through postpartum and wanting to be anywhere but here. And really the journey of the pregnancy. So here's the other piece to our dreams is that the thing that you want is, you have to be, the process of getting there has to take time, because it creates who you are meant to
That's
be.
absolutely
It
agree.
grows who you are meant to be in order to have that thing and get to that place, in the process of not having it to having it.
That's right.
And
Yes.
so
Yep.
when the pregnancy totally just, he, my sweet little maverick, his coming into this world, I know, is what brought me into the place of like, you just have to be where you are. Just be where you are. Just love where you are.
Mhm.
Even if you don't love where you
Mm,
are, love where you are.
yeah.
You
Which
know?
ironically feels it bumps up against the part of you that is like longing to already be in the dream that you're dreaming. So like it's like that. That's okay. So it's like that surrender of both feeling like the lesson that God is teaching you as you're moving towards your dream is ironically to like let go of the dream for now
Yes.
and to be present.
Yes. Be that is, and even in this small window, we had sold our house previously, right before we went to Costa Rica in 2020.
Yeah.
If you can track that. And there was a small window where we were homeless, and we were like, the kids thought it was super fun. We were like staying in like Airbnbs and staying with friends and family, and we were just kind of nomads. And there was this deep, deep
Yeah.
call for presence. And God was just like, you will manifest everything that you want through your presence. And like, it just kept being drilled into my head, drilled into my head, drilled into my head. And
That is a lesson.
it's a huge lesson.
Wow.
And so I just carried that, and like, presence. How can I, and I would give myself in the situation that felt nothing like I wanted it to feel, or where I wanted to be. I would give myself things. I would create environments that made me feel like I was already there. Like, I don't know if you remember this, but I posted about it. I filled my entire house with plants. I had no plants, and
Mm-hmm.
all I wanted was to
Mm-hmm.
be around green and plants and nature. So I filled my whole house with plants, and like
Right.
little things like that, where I just knew that I needed to create the feeling and embody the feeling that I wanted to feel before I was there. And
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
that that was the journey. That was the journey. Was like, I already have everything. I already have this feeling inside. The feeling is inside of you. And if you
Yeah.
don't have it inside of you, it doesn't matter where you are or what you have, you won't be able to receive it. So
Yeah.
receiving the feeling first is a really fundamental um,
Yeah.
piece. Yeah.
So what were some of the you did work all of the details out and you wrestled with the things internally that were being brought up, which like it sounds like they were all good things to think about and to wrestle with. And even having a baby probably gave you more time to really like secure how you actually felt, to really know your why and your answer for why you were doing this. So as you moved there, what were some of the like biggest immediate challenges, like practically or emotionally, with this making this transition, like with kids, with a husband? I want to know also how that shaped you guys as a family, but I'm wondering like what were some of those immediate challenges?
Um, yeah, just to back up a little bit, we actually bought 24 acres of land in Nashville,
Oh
because
wow.
there was no visible path forward to Costa Rica. And
Okay.
we were we had just kind of released the dream
Mm-hmm.
to and we had to move forward. We were like, we need to move forward. We need to move out of this house. We need to move out of this place. We know we need more spaciousness. We need more. And I think that piece feels important, because sometimes the releasing of the dream is part of the process. It
Mm-hmm.
is part of testing and trusting and letting it come back to you when it's ready, when
Mm-hmm.
the fulfillment is ready. And so um the component of releasing that, buying land somewhere we didn't really want to be, but just trying to take a step forward actually is one of the pieces that led us to the dream ultimately. And so when it came back to us. The dream of Costa Rica came back to us. And when it was time, it was like the red carpet was just rolled out.
Oh,
Everything
wow.
lined up. We had the house, we had the car from a friend who was selling it. We had the school lined up. And those were all pieces that we formerly could not figure out.
Yeah.
And the releasing of it allowed the timing to happen when it was supposed to happen instead of us trying to force it to happen when we wanted it to happen.
Sure.
And so I just wanted to include that because,
Yeah.
we were ready to make permanent in that place, but still trusting and still being open-handed to what was, what was going to
Mm-hmm.
happen. So,
Mm-hmm.
so now, so then we get to Costa Rica and we have like everything lined up and ready. And it was so easy and it didn't feel challenging and it didn't feel
Yeah.
forced or,
Yes. Yeah.
you know,
Yes,
so
totally.
I wanted to include that because that feels
That
like,
makes sense. Yeah. So it didn't feel like you were like pushing mountains every step of the way. There was like a lot of surrender that you faced before it felt like you had the major green light to get there.
yes.
And
Yeah.
then once you got, gosh, what was that? When you were like, did you have, what was the moment in your first few days where you were like, we're here? I'm sure you had several of those
I mean,
moments.
for months we were like, we did it.
We
We're
did it.
here.
Yeah.
It was months where we were like in awe that we
Yeah.
actually, because it felt like such a long 4 years and we really didn't know if it was ever going to happen, even though like I knew, but I didn't know, you just, when
Yeah.
life starts happening, you just don't know.
Right. Totally.
And so, yeah, so we arrive and it's so exciting and so different. And, everybody's hot all the time because the climate, our bodies hadn't acclimated to the climate yet. And we have 3 kids now, and one is only a year and a half, and he doesn't know what the heck's going on.
Yeah.
Like, where are we? What are we doing? Why are we not going home?
Yes.
And it was a major, major initiation.
Yeah.
Moving with it, as 5 individual people in a family, we all had our own rocked experience of moving here, and it brought up everything. It brought up, I remember crying in the car, like feeling so lonely. We didn't know anybody in this area that we
Mm-hmm.
moved. We didn't know anybody. I had no friends.
Mm-hmm.
It's somewhat of a transient place, and at the time there were, kind of friend groups already established and not a lot of like people reaching out to be
Yeah.
friends. And I didn't know where to go to make friends, and trying to like talk to school parents but not really vibing with anybody. Just like very
Yeah.
lonely, just overall very
Yeah.
lonely, and missing
I
our
know.
people back home. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I bet. I was just gonna say, I, we've had 2 big moves in the last 8 years, and I never would have thought that I would have to go back to the little girl in me who like couldn't make friends at school. I never would have known that she was even there until we made these 2 big moves and being
Yeah.
like, "Oh my gosh, how old do I feel right now?" Because I had just grown up in my hometown for my whole life until my 30s. And then, which sounds like you had such established friend groups too. And you don't really think about that kind of loneliness for like most of my adult life. And man, it's so vulnerable. But you were not only in a different, like we moved within state and they were still big moves, but you were in, you were in another country. Oh, you must have felt that like that's a different kind of loneliness.
It was loneliness on top of a completely dysregulated nervous system
Oh, yeah.
100% of the time, and
Yeah.
because we hadn't grounded, we hadn't landed, we hadn't found our rhythm, there was no routine. Going to the grocery store, it's funny because here you have to go to like 6 different stores just to get all the things you need. Like there's the butcher, and then there's the veggie shop, and then there's the place you go to get your like
How funny.
laundry detergent. So everything's like kind of split up. So getting used to that and like, oh my God, I don't know where to get anything. I don't know where, like, just
Yeah.
every single part of your routine is completely upside down.
God. Oh my God.
And I don't have anyone. And then I'm just like crying to my best friend back home all the time. I'm like, I swear I like it here.
Yeah.
Everything is so hard. I'm so lonely. And there was a really big moment. And I did talk about this on social media where it was like, oh my God, like having your dreams is not what you think it is.
Mm-hmm.
Getting
Mm-hmm.
the thing that you have dreamed of and obsessed over and spent so many countless hours just waiting to get to is
Yeah.
not what you think it's going to be.
Yeah.
Because you can't imagine the realness in between all of the peak moments that your brain is imagining to get you there. You know, like your brain's only like computing the romanticized peak experiences. And that's what's pulling
Yeah.
you toward it, right?
Yes.
And
Yeah.
then you actually get there and you're living all the moments in between, which are way more. There's way more of
Yeah.
those than the peak moments, you know? And so
Right.
it winds up becoming this reality check of like, is this what I wanted? Is this really what and you hear it all the time when people finally
Totally.
get the thing that they want or the award or the lifestyle or the fame or whatever it is. Is this what I really wanted? Like maybe so it's so interesting. It was interesting having that experience of like, oh, this was the dream and this is the dream. And I have to reconcile all the parts of the dream.
Right. The hard
And
parts too.
yeah.
Yeah. How did you reconcile that? Like, did you have moments where you're like, was I wrong? Or did you feel like, no, I am definitely in alignment with what I feel called to do, but it's just hard?
My toxic trait is I use every single thing that life gives me to become better.
Oh, same.
Even
100%. It's not a toxic trait. Yeah. I would die otherwise. I would die.
yes, yes. It was my total
Meaning or death. Yeah. Like if that's a toxic trait, I'm super toxic.
so toxic.
Yeah.
But that was my justification, like to the point of like, you know, masochism or whatever. Like everything was so hard and still, but there's truth in it though. There can be truth in it. I don't think it has to be that way. My belief doesn't revolve around things have to be
Right.
hard to grow you.
No, same. You don't have to always be a phoenix rising from the ashes, but I will
No.
say it has served me when I was in really dark
And
places. And I
exactly.
also agree, you do not need a victim story in order to be strong or some kind of calamity.
Yes.
So
Yep.
I'm tracking. Yes.
1000%. Just need to say that, get that out there.
Yeah. Right.
But when things were really hard, that was how I made it through. It was like, okay, what is this teaching me? What is this showing
Yeah.
me? How is
Yeah.
it strengthening me? How is it, what's
Yeah.
the mirror here? And I am grateful. I am grateful for that
Yeah.
awareness because I am now a much more it matured me a lot. It spiritually matured me and grew me and our marriage went through several cycles of
Oh, I'm sure.
death and rebirth.
Yeah.
We thought we were like done several times. And the choice though to stick with the difficulty and to work through like the muck, um, just like shed old layers of our
Yeah.
relationship, 15 years of marriage and a lot builds up.
Yeah.
And so when so much builds up, there's more to shed.
Yeah.
But I'm very proud of our process in committing to the shed, and we're
Yeah.
in an incredible place now. So I can see, and my children are so flexible. They're so resilient. They're so. I mean, everywhere we go, adults want to hang out with them. Like this process, I think has sharpened our family to really be able to connect in. And one of the blessings and like beautiful gifts that has come from all of this was that during our initiation when things were so hard and my children were
Hmm.
falling apart and I thought that we just made the worst decision ever for them.
Yeah.
They need their friends, they need to be in their routine, they need their school, just all the things that come into your
Right.
head as a mom that's like you
Sure.
ruin their life.
Yes. Right.
One of the beautiful things that was birthed from that was our family circle, and every Sunday we met, the five of us, and we circled up and we would like light something like a candle or, an incense or something. And we would come together and we would hold each other and we would be honest and we would share and we held space for whatever anyone was feeling. And
Mm.
it's evolved into this really beautiful thing for our family, this really beautiful ritual of connection and inviting God in and praying. And it's usually very, very messy, 3 young kids.
Sure. Oh, of course.
It's
Yeah,
very
yeah, yeah.
messy.
Totally.
It's
Right.
not whatever you're imagining when I'm saying this, it's not that.
Yeah.
It's
Silent
super
children with their
messy.
hands in their lap, like just listening with wisdom. Right.
Listen to everything I say.
It is kind of
Um,
crazy though, those moments when you're like trying to implement these like new rituals or traditions, or trying to implement like the wisdom that you've learned, and you're just like, I don't know where this is landing. And then it shows up later in
yeah,
their lives, and you
yeah.
see it in how they're acting and what they're saying, and you're like, I
Oh,
am
you
not
did
the
hear
worst parent in
that.
the worst. Yeah, right. In the world. Like, this is all okay. We're going to be okay.
Yes,
So it
yes,
sounds like it's that a little bit.
yes, yes. And it has evolved. It got to the place where we were like, okay, we've been doing this for like 9 months, and feels really good. And we started inviting other families in once a month, and so now we
Yeah.
gather in community, on community family circle, and it's something that this community was actually desperately craving. Was everybody moves here for similar reasons, growth, connection to like the land and to other
Get it.
people and to like a
Get out
spiritual.
of the rat race kind of.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
totally escape like the hustle and spiritual community,
Sure.
and that there was nothing here that was bringing families together in that way, in the way that so many people were craving. And so through our really messy process, it's turned into this container for families, like other families, to come and have the thing that they were longing for and desiring in their moving here, and so that's been a really beautiful gift of the journey and
Yeah.
the process of like, oh wow, look what look what we got out of these really hard, very, very difficult moments, and it turned into something really beautiful a year later.
Yeah. Yes. Would you say that you come from, I don't know that I know the answer to this exactly, but would you say that you come from conservative Christianity?
Yes, yes, for sure.
Okay. So
Mhm.
this might seem like a kind of sideways question, but it's something that I talk to a lot of my clients about and think about a lot. In this journey of moving and growing and expanding and becoming, how do you feel like your history with Christianity helped prepare you for this season? And how do you feel like it hurt you or did not prepare you?
Mm. Mm.
Because I know that like as we spiritually grow and evolve, we transcend and include, there's like so many of us go through that season of just being like wanting to be totally done with our faith tradition or how we grew up or whatever. And then I feel
Mhm.
like we get to a point where we're like, it is true that there were things that were not helpful.
Yes.
But then, and I think you'd say the same thing, there are so many things that like I would not have been able to do with my adult life and even my emotional growth and health had I not had a history rooted in some of the spiritual principles of Christianity, even as like conservative and like tight as it was,
Mhm.
you know?
Yes. I mean, the first thing that comes to mind is how it worked for me was like God is always working all things for our good. That was
Yeah.
definitely something that was
Deep
instilled
principle.
in. Yeah, yeah, like messages and scripture and worship songs and, like all things work together for our good.
Yeah.
And I really truly believe that
Yeah.
has actually never left.
Yeah.
And I think that encompasses so much too. Like that encompasses
Yeah.
so many things and situations um and I think just having a faith and a belief in a God, in
Yes.
a creator, in something
Yeah.
that designed us to be this way, for earth to be this way, for life to be this way. And um having that relationship really instilled early on. I definitely let go. I definitely deconstructed, but I never turned away from God. I never let go
Yeah.
of the idea of God or the presence of
Yeah.
God. Um,
Do you feel like you could have if you tried?
no,
Like
as a human, I feel so spiritually connected.
yeah, so
Always.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't think I ever could have denied. My husband and I went through deconstruction at the same time, but he definitely went more agnostic, and I could never meet him in that. I was always like,
Mhm.
no, there is
Yeah.
something. There is
Yeah.
there is a God. There
Yeah.
is whatever that looks like.
Yeah.
um
Yes.
so yeah, this is a really good question. I might need to keep thinking about this because
Yeah.
I want to dig into more, but I'm trying to think of something that maybe didn't help, that hurt the process. I mean, to be honest with you, I've I went through a stage where I was really hurt by the church and I was really
Sure.
mad at the church, and I could have
Yeah.
listed off all of the reasons and ways that they got it wrong.
Mhm. Mhm.
And
You
I don't
seem
even
so far, I know, right, you're so
I
far
can't
beyond that,
even
and
think
that's
of
why I wanna
them.
ask you.
Yeah,
Mhm.
I can't even grasp at it anymore of it's so just like forgiven and forgotten, honestly, that
Yeah.
um all that's left is the beauty of it.
Yeah. Totally.
Um, there are still things I strongly disagree with, but I would never say that like those hurt me now. Isn't
Right,
that
right,
crazy?
totally. It
Yeah.
is
No.
kind of crazy. It's also it's really hopeful. Like you really
Mhm.
do, it really does feel like when you are deconstructing and you're kind of moving into your own path. I would say the thing that doesn't sound like it's hurt you now that has hurt me in the past that I would also say doesn't hurt me now was the emphasis of not trusting yourself
Yes.
and constantly being warned about being led astray gets very confusing for people that are following their dreams.
Yeah.
Very confusing for Christian kids that
Yes.
I always say like Christian kids turned big dreamers. Like the mental gymnastics of wondering, is the life I want just the life that I selfishly want? Or is it the life that God
Mhm.
wants for me? Like that's not even something that I think about now. I'm like, how could the inspiration that I feel be any different from the voice of the Holy Spirit? I'm like a loved spiritual child of God. And so
Yes.
it doesn't like ever confuse me now, but it definitely confuses kids that are like working through that. And
That
so
is
it
so
sounds
good.
like your self-trust was and was so secure as you went into this and has only grown.
Yeah, I'm so glad you brought that up. That's a huge one. And I would
Yeah.
add to that fear, because it's the fear of trusting the wrong thing, right? Like if I can't trust myself,
Yeah.
what do I trust? How do I know? And then there's a fear that you can make a wrong decision. And
Yeah.
something that really healed me through that is perfect love casts out all fear.
Yes.
All
Mhm.
fear. All fear.
Yeah.
Not some
Mhm.
fear, not the
Mhm.
satanic fear, but the what I like just all
Yes, right.
fear. Like
Yeah.
any decision that you make is covered by that love, and you do not need to fear because you'll be rerouted. If it's not the wrong, like just go test things out. You can't
Yes.
what's the word what is really going to happen, right? You're like you're going to lose your salvation? No, you're going to make a
Right.
mistake maybe. But
Yeah. And you learn
what's
from it. Yeah.
the fear? Like perfect love casts out all fear, and that really freed me to trust,
Yes.
just
Right.
to trust myself, to trust God. If there was anything that came in that felt like fear, I'm like, this isn't. If I believe that God is perfect love, and
Mhm.
that is the belief, right, that He is
Mhm.
perfect love. If I have fear, that is me stepping outside of that perfect love. And
Mhm.
as long as I am covered by that, like no fear needs to exist. So
Yes.
that was a huge healing process for me
Yeah.
to not default to fear. Hmm.
Right. Totally. Yeah, cuz I even think a lot of my Christian upbringing although we would sing about and say those words about trusting God and not being led by fear, fear was so highlighted and so honestly revered in some ways.
Oh yeah.
It was like more of a guidance to us than the
Yep.
voice of love. And I always say like
Yes.
the Holy Spirit and intuition to me are the same. And it's joyful wisdom. It's like joyful, connected wisdom.
Mhm.
And so even from like a perfect love casts out fear from a nervous system perspective is your nervous system is always looking for safety or danger.
Mhm.
And what calms your nervous system is connection to love and safety.
Mhm.
So like
Mhm.
perfect love does cast out fear
Mhm.
biologically.
Yes.
Like even like Viktor Frankl's Man's Search for Meaning, he's in these concentration camps and he's like choosing to feel deep trust, choosing to believe that he's loved and connected to in the worst
That is
conditions.
next level.
It's absolutely next level. And I think about that with a lot of humility of like I have never been in any kind of situation even close to that. And you
Mhm.
can still choose to trust love. You can still rely on perfect love casting out fear.
Mhm. Wow.
I know, crazy.
Wow. There was a little bit more I wanted to talk about on fear,
Absolutely.
if you wanna go
Yes.
there a little bit,
I want to go there. Let's do it.
because fear has been a huge theme in my life, and I think most people experience some level of fear. And part of this process to being here has taught me a lot about what fear is. And to me, my experience has been that fear isn't just this like, oh, something scary. Fear is like the litmus of the potential of what you are wanting to
Mm.
do.
Mm-hmm.
So when there is a lot of fear towards something, it's actually this energetic potential held in our bodies that if we can
Mm-hmm.
just step forward a couple steps, and it's like going out on a stage for the first time, and like there's no real threat there other than maybe you really messing up, and that, I guess, that could be the fear. But once
Sure.
you're out
Yeah.
on the stage and you do the thing, you have this huge energy release and connection to the audience, and it's like this explosion of adrenaline and joy
Yeah.
and purpose, and you're
Aliveness.
alive. Yes, aliveness. So that fear was actually just this like barrier between you and your potential.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in the especially in the context of creation and creativity and what we're here to do and what we're here to create, the fear is this, it's something to pay attention to not do the thing, but to
Mm-hmm.
do the thing, because
Mm-hmm.
behind it, on the other side of it, is actually this massive creative explosion of creative energy. So yeah, just fear is something to notice and play with and test,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
not to allow it to hold you back, but to actually guide you in some way.
Yeah. So then my question is, what was the potential that the fear of moving to Costa Rica was holding back that you've experienced? How have you seen your family expand on the other side of this move?
Mhm. Part of my fear was, am I going to wind up, am I leaving my community? Because I had an amazing community in Nashville. We had cultivated it over the whole time that we were there, and it was so beautiful and deep and profound.
Yeah.
And so the fear was, what if I lose them?
Yeah.
What if I get here, and I still I remain friends with those people, and they mean so much to me, and there's still so much depth there. And what we've created here is also this, it's a completely different version that needed to be birthed of community that I couldn't
Yeah.
have done there. I couldn't have created that there. We couldn't have, it needed to be here, and it's a whole different iteration of connection and community and friendship. And So the fear was sort of this potential of what wanted to be created here. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Does that
Yeah. Oh,
it,
yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
yeah,
especially
yeah.
based on what you just said about fear capping your potential. Yeah.
And sometimes I think we fear healing because who will we be without our pain? Well, we're going to be amazing. We're going to be more complete. We're going to be wholer, fuller versions of ourselves, but it's almost like we can't imagine being any other way when we're still on the other side of it, right? So
Yeah.
what will
Oh,
my identity be? What will my, how will I relate to people without this, you know?
yes. Yes, I do know. And that's such a good point. I don't know that I've ever actually talked about you. The way that you said it was so true. I remember, I don't think I would have said beforehand that I was afraid to heal because I didn't know who I'd be without my pain. I wouldn't have said it like that. I was just
Mhm.
afraid to face things.
Mhm.
But in hindsight, I'm like, oh, I was terrified of who I would become. Who even am I on the other side of this?
Mhm.
And like, yeah, who will I be? And it's funny, all the things that I thought I would be. I'm like, just a so much happier and more grounded version of myself. And I think like what you just said, like who you are on the other side is you free.
Mhm. But we
It
can't, our nervous system like can't understand that
nope.
when we're in the pain
No.
or we're in the, identity crisis or we're in the trauma. It's like
No.
when when someone is abused or raised in a traumatic setting and they go into
Mm.
a home that's peaceful, it's like so disturbing and uncomfortable to them. They don't know what to
Yep.
do with it.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we'll
It's
like
like,
swirl back into
mhm,
patterns of pain.
mhm.
So was there anything else that you felt like you wanted to say? I have one big question left, but
Hmm.
about the process, about who you guys have become this side of the pain. You guys definitely seem like such a tight unit and
I
so
think I
bonded.
I think I definitely want to just drive home. I have never been so creative. I have never felt
Mm.
so, alive and spacious to create, and I used to think that being creative meant, like, I have to paint, or I need to make music,
Right.
or, like, directly, obviously creative things,
Right.
but I think that's different for everybody, and for me, it's been a creative process of curating and forming my gift to the world, which is working
Mhm.
through spiritual experiences with women and now with families. And like Family Circle was absolutely a creative process. That was a creation that was birthed
Yeah.
through us, and I have a really amazing container I'm working on called Creator Mother that I'm so excited. I don't
Mm.
know when it's going to be ready. I'm letting it just paint itself right now. There's no end date. There's no, because it's something that has wanted to be treated like a work of art and
Mhm.
um, slowly, slowly added, slowly formed, and so it's in process, but I'm so excited about it.
Yeah.
And that alone, it's called Creator Mother. That it is like the whole process of what we've done is like now turning into this container that I cannot wait to share with the world. So like that, I feel so alive with creation energy through
Yeah.
through this
Yeah.
like massive change, jump of faith, healing process, shedding process, dying and being reborn multiple times. Like they just like your podcast says, they literally go hand in hand. Like you
They
can
are.
heal
Yeah.
and you create.
Forever.
Like for yeah,
Yep.
and so I just really wanted to drive that home. That if the moment you start feeling stuck creatively, like nothing's wrong with you, you're not doing the wrong thing, if there's fear, like it's actually just maybe invite some divine wisdom and notice what might want to be healed. Notice
Yeah.
what might want to be seen or loved or released, and I think
Yeah.
that's often more what creative blocks are than anything else, is actually just a layer to shed.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. Yeah, you've met something that needs to be healed if you feel
Mhm.
creatively stuck.
Mhm.
So, what advice would you okay, I'm like already thinking like, okay, so I want to have you back to talk about this container that we have. So, we'll talk about that. But for now, what advice would you give anyone looking to make like a bold, unconventional life choice, but they feel scared or held back? Like, what advice would you give them
Mm,
based on your experience?
yeah.
Somebody's got big dreams and they're feeling lit up by listening to this conversation.
Yes, I would say trust it, trust it, trust it. Be present with it, stay present with it. Stay present in your life, don't jump to the next life. Be present in the life that you are in as you continue to trust what is guiding you, because what is lighting you up is they are breadcrumbs toward your purpose. Hands down, I believe that through and through. If it
Absolutely.
is
Oh,
lighting you up,
100%.
they are
Yes.
breadcrumbs to your purpose. So you can trust it, and um, take what steps you can and try to surrender and release as much control. Hopefully hearing a little bit of our story can give some framework.
Yeah.
Like, it might take time, it might, you might need to fully surrender to something else. um, you can still hold on to your dream. The dream can still be alive and
Hmm.
real as you're flowing through life, and trusting that everything that's happening is happening for you in the process of it. And remembering that your dream, once you have it, isn't suddenly going to make you complete or whole or happy or perfect. And so the only moment that you can really experience those things in is the present moment. And the dream is going to have its own set of complications and challenges,
Hmm.
you know
Hmm.
and so in that sense, there's not just this one thing that you need to make it to feel complete. It's all making you complete.
Hmm. Well, it reminds me of marriage. Like when people get married and they're so surprised to find that
Yep.
they don't feel fixed and healed. And it's like, you get married, and that's like, let the games begin.
Like,
Like,
hello.
yeah. So the same is true for like getting the thing that you're dreaming about. It's like,
Yeah.
let the games begin. Like
Well, and
now,
I think
here
I
we
think
are.
an important note is, like, that's all conditioning. It's all
Mm,
conditioning that you have to be dreaming about something else that's not exactly where you are right now. Whether
mm,
it's a marriage or a relationship or a kid or a new home, or, like, there's so much spell casting around needing to have something else that you don't already
yeah.
have, that's not right now.
Yes, totally. That is very, very Western.
Yes. And so
Yeah,
let
totally.
now be enough, and hold on to the dream and follow the dream, but also let now be enough. Yeah.
Beautiful. Where can people find you?
I have basically only an Instagram account right now, which is Kirsten P. Kelly. And I am in the process of creating different containers that, yeah, are going, though they will be released when they tell me they're ready. I do share on there quite a bit. I share my process, and I try to be as authentic and open with what's happening as I
Hmm.
can remember to be.
Hmm. Yeah.
um, I definitely live life first, and social media second, but I love engaging there. I love sharing there. Um, and would definitely welcome anyone who wanted to be along for the ride.
And you do want to be along for Kirsten's ride. So get on it. I love you so much.
I love
I
you too,
loved having you
Courtney.
here. Thank you so
Aw.
much. Everybody go check out what Kirsten's doing, especially as she develops this new creative dream that she has. And I just hope that you all feel just as inspired as I do.
Love you guys.
Thank you guys.
Of course. Bye.